Hey, how are you, my friend?
Good. Ernest, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Yeah, so we are in Washington.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you so much. My first time to be out of the airport, but wherever I come, I just,
Yeah. What do you think about Washington?
For me, Washington is a good state, but the only thing I don't like about Washington is when it is raining.
Oh, okay.
That is the part. Okay, I'm already out of Africa, so I don't want to have rain almost every single day.
Awesome.
Yeah, so how long have you been in Washington?
Actually 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
But overall in the US, when did you come?
24 years now.
24 years.
Yeah, so I came when I was 19.
When you were 19.
Yeah.
Man. So you have seen a lot of changes.
A lot of changes, a lot of progress.
Yeah.
I mean, back in the 1999, it was pretty nice. Like now the political climate.
Yeah. And at that time, it was before September 11.
Yeah.
So things were vastly different after September 11, and then things started to be complicated from there to today.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, which state have you lived in those years before you came to?
So I've lived in Nebraska for 23 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why Nebraska?
Cost of living.
Okay.
It was the first place that I got my education. So I had a bachelor's degree and pursued my master's degree and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the weather-wise in Nebraska is not better compared. And sometimes, like, I don't know if there are so many immigrants in Nebraska.
Yeah, I mean the Kenyan population is okay.
Oh, okay, that's good.
But I've not seen a lot community-wise, because Nebraska is not like Washington, where there's a lot of progressive state.
Welcoming so many people,
like there's no,
and the economy attracting so many people moving to the state.
Yeah.
Those are the states sometimes many people are moving away because of the economy and so forth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for those 23, 24 years now, if someone comes here today, what will you advise that person?
You have to understand the system. The United States is not what people think. It's not like you can come in and just say, "Oh, I'm going to make a lot of money."
Yeah.
That's not true.
That is our expectation.
Yeah,
Sure.
everybody comes here and thinks that everything is just simple, easy.
Yeah.
It's not true. So what I tell people is, it's great to pursue an education, but you have to think outside the box.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when you come here, the white population, they're not going to help you, because a lot of these people, right, they're not more progressive in terms of education, right? So you're not going to find somebody who's going to guide you in terms of what you need to do next. You know what I'm saying? So the mistakes that I made 23 years ago was, one, I didn't have a mentor.
Yes.
I didn't even know what a mentor was.
Wow.
When you come here, you're just like going with the flow.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? And then my advice is, find somebody who's somebody who really wants to genuinely help you and wants to progress you in life. Sometimes people come here and think that just because they're in America they can do anything they want, which is not true.
Yeah.
The laws in the United States are very strict, right? So if you come here and you start doing stupid stuff,
you pee on the road, whatever.
You're gonna go to jail, right? So the political climate right now is it's very dangerous. So I tell a lot of people, be very careful what you're doing, because this administration is really cracking down on a lot of illegal stuff.
What was your profession like? You studied at the university, and what did you work?
So my dad brought me to the United States in 1999, and back then I was really privileged, because he said, "Hey, you know what? Go get an education in the United States." So I started off with a bachelor's degree in computer science.
Yes.
Because that was a hot cake back then.
Yeah.
Right. So I progressed into cybersecurity, and back then it was really difficult to get into the cybersecurity field. Okay, because you had to know a lot of people to know a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
So luckily, I met a Tanzanian guy. His name is Arthur Chilipuali. He's down in Omaha, Nebraska, and he gave me an opportunity. He said, "Hey, you know what? There's this company. Come work for it." We did an interview, got the job. I was so happy. Just to get your foot through the door the first time is very difficult. Cybersecurity, right? So he gave me that opportunity. So he was my supervisor. He taught me all these things, and then as I progressed my education, right, got a master's degree, moved to a different company, which just paid more money. And then luckily, I got into a financial institution. It was Bank of the West that time, and I graduated to a cybersecurity architect. So I was making about, six figures, easy. 150, 160,000, which is a lot of money in Nebraska, right?
Yeah.
So what I tell people
Yeah, for
is,
Nebraska, 150.
Yeah,
First of all, 100K
Yeah.
is something else. So 150.
yeah. So what I tell people is chase your dreams and don't be afraid to pursue, higher positions, because a lot of people just assume, oh, those higher positions are for white people, people not their class. But if you want to be like a director or something, or a CEO, that's okay. It's okay to chase that dream, right? So don't feel afraid, oh, because you're not qualified, you can't apply for that position. Apply for it, see what happens, right? The worst case scenario is they say no, and then go back again and apply for it, and you're gonna get that position.
Exactly.
It's
Because
just
when
not
they
right.
deny, they are not giving you like a punishment to
Yeah.
kneel down, go to jail. It's
Yeah.
just no.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so you can improve yourself, improve your skills, and
Yeah.
then you apply again.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
But today we are here on one of the important event, and this one is not a cybersecurity event.
yes,
It's about finance.
correct,
Myself, I'm financial professional. Now you are also a financial professional.
right.
But how did you transition from the computer, cyber? What gave you the drive to go into the financial professional life?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I have to backtrack to back when everything for me was perfectly fine,
Yes.
because I was earning six figures, $160,000 salary, and then I bought a house. This was back in the financial crisis,
Yeah.
when the market was really, really nice. You could afford a really nice
Yeah.
house. So the interest rates were like 0%. I said, man, I jumped in and bought that house. So, sometimes God gives you a path to freedom, financial freedom.
Yeah.
But sometimes you cannot see past what's in front of you, right? So I was married for 14 years, and then, unfortunately I divorced, right? So people who do not understand the financial system in the United States, especially the state government, you have to understand that your financial responsibility and your wife's financial responsibility is a joint responsibility.
Yeah.
So what I mean by that is, when your wife gets into debt and you have assets, and one person is playing stupid with your money, carrying on a debt, and you're over here saving, if you don't understand each other, right, and you go get divorced, you're gonna get crushed.
Yeah.
Right? So a lot of people don't know that, right? So a lot of people just assume that taking on debt is a really, really nice financial path to take. But
Yeah.
I advise people, stop taking debt. Right?
Yeah.
You're just gonna put yourself in a deeper hole because you don't know what you're doing, right? So unfortunately, I had to go through a divorce. She had thousands of dollars in debt that I didn't even know about. But after I got divorced, and that's what really hurt me, was the fact that I was expecting the state of Nebraska to kind of side with me because I was very responsible financially.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I ended up losing my house, losing half of my retirement and everything. So it was very devastating. So by the time I got done, right, I walked away with about $5,000.
Oh man.
So she walked away with about $100,000. She got the house and everything. See what I'm saying? Because she had more debt than I had, than
Yeah.
no assets. Right? So I got very financially devastated. And at that time, I couldn't imagine, because I was like, well, I thought the United States government was siding with the people who do right, but it didn't look like the judge cared. He just said,
Yeah.
he should have done his due diligence, which kind of insulted me. Right? So I said, okay, so if this is what the state of Nebraska is doing, what else are people not knowing about the government, right? So I said, okay. So at that time, I was going through a really hard divorce, and and then all of a sudden, my dad passes away, right? So by the time I was done with my divorce, the court had ordered me to pay my ex-wife $1,300 a month. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
For 5 years, a lot of money, and I felt so violated. But my dad over here, he was falling sick. He was not looking too good. This is back in Kenya, and that really hurt me because when I looked at what I was giving her from a monthly perspective, $1,300.
It could do a lot of
could have
things
done a lot of
to
dollars
help you. Yeah.
to help my dad's medical bills. So there's nothing I could do there. So by the time everything was going through, my dad, unfortunately, he passed away. Right? So he had a lot of medical issues and stuff like that. It was just when I was looking at his death certificate, I couldn't believe it. Like there was all these critical diseases that I couldn't imagine him going through that.
Yeah.
So by the time I was burying my dad, right, one of my friends, I came back, and one of my friends invited me to a program. He said, "Hey, come listen to this information," because he knew what I was going through.
Yeah.
And I said, "Okay, yeah, great guy. Let me go listen to what he's talking about." And right there was a lady who was teaching about financial literacy, and I was like, "What is this lady talking about?" You know what I mean? And I sat there and I listened to this lady, and I was like, "Wait a minute! My former boss told me." He sent me a YouTube video. He said, and I remember this. He sent me a text message. He said, "You will thank me for this information someday." And I remember it, and I took a screenshot. Right? So whatever she was talking about came true what he was saying. And I said,
Yeah.
"This lady, she's not lying, right?" And I took that information seriously, and I started realizing that I literally don't know anything about finances. I thought I did.
Yeah.
I did not.
Yeah.
So I think for me, it's just a matter of understanding the financial system in the United States. It's not what people think it is.
And especially for immigrants, because even the people who are born here, this information they don't have.
They don't have.
Plus, you are coming here at the age of 20 or 30 years old
Right.
in a brand new system, so you don't have this double beating already.
Right.
Yeah, so it is better for us to understand these things very, very early.
Yeah, because you can imagine, if I knew about this 24 years ago, my life would have been different.
Very true.
Very different. My dad's life would have been very different. Right? But now I'm paying the price of ignorance because I didn't even know. Right? So what gives me purpose and drive is my dad, seeing what he went through and what I went through. It's like, especially about Kenyan people, I'm like, guys, we need to wake up.
Yeah.
Right? Because what I go through, the hardships, I don't want to see anybody go through that. Right?
Yeah.
Because we don't talk about wealth building, we don't talk about finances. All we do is we just go with the flow, which is kind of sad.
That is the big challenge. And especially, like, we don't talk about the issue of money in general.
Yeah.
Because we think we know about money, but we don't know.
We don't.
That's number one.
Yeah.
And number two, we are not talking about 30 years to come.
Yeah.
We are not talking about when I retire 30 years, how will I survive?
Yeah.
What if I die? What if I get this medical, critical seriousness disease? What will I do?
Yeah.
We don't talk about those. So they will take him back to Africa.
Yeah.
But going to Africa is not a solution.
Yeah, and I bet a couple of people, a couple of Kenyans who say that. It's like, well, what if you get sick? Well, somebody in Kenya is going to take me. I'm like, no, their financial responsibility is their family. They didn't equate you in the equation.
Yeah.
So what are we doing? You see what I'm saying? What are we doing?
Yeah, so these are very, very important things. I usually tell them the same thing we're saying.
Yeah.
For me, I've been here 17 years, and I usually tell people the number one mistake we are doing as immigrant, we are focusing more on immigration. We forget about there is the issue from they want to know about the finance,
Right.
because once we know about the finance, your entire life will be different
Right.
from how we spend your money, how we get tax return, where do we use that money, the child tax credit, how do we use that money, like what if I get sick. Like, instead of having two jobs, can I have one job and a business? There are so many things we need to know very, very early on. And the taxes in general.
Yeah.
Those are the things, yeah.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people, especially in this country, if you see what the Chinese and the Indians are doing, it's a wake-up call, right? Because a lot of people don't, they just think it's just an African thing. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
You have to see the reality of these, and I welcome somebody to just go to Vegas. Call me, go to Vegas. See for yourself, right? Because seeing is believing.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these Chinese people and Indians in this financial space, they're doing really, really well. I think the challenge with our community, we don't like to listen.
We have to go beyond the get together for celebration for our independences and just eating chapati, eating rice, jollof, whatever. That's all. We need to have, when we are meeting, let's share the important things for not only ourselves, but our kids, our grandchildren.
Yeah, that's true.
Those are the things that are very, very important. Yeah, so thank you so much for sharing this story. And I think it will be a waking call for so many other people who are just starting, but not only starting, you can be here 15 years and you do not know certain things.
Yeah.
So you can get in touch and give this type of education, teaching them
Yeah.
about something like this one.
Yep. And
Yeah,
it's
so-
okay to have a conversation. I tell people have a conversation. It doesn't hurt.
Yeah, and if you you want to get in contact with Larry, I'll put in my I'll put the website, the link, which you put in my link, but you just write there. Just I got the information about Larry, and I want to have the meeting with him. We can set the meeting. So if you go to ebmschools.com/finance, there is a form. You can fill that form, but the place where do you get the information. So if you seriously watch this particular video and you want to talk with Larry one-on-one, but you must be in America.
Correct.
Or Canada, not
Correct.
like you are in Kenya or Tanzania or Nigeria. No, because
or if they don't know anybody, they might
yeah,
be
oh,
in
you
Kenya
know,
and they know somebody in the
you
United
can
States.
share this video,
Yeah.
which could be a good start with that one.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Larry.
Well,
and,
welcome to Washington. Yeah, glad
yeah,
to see you.
I
Man.
appreciate it. Do you have any question for me?
No, I love seeing your work, and man, I respect what you do for your community, and we need more leaders.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.